Metal shop safety. When in a metal shop, it is very important that you learn to think safety. This video will summarize the types of accidents that can occur in a metalworking lab and explain how to prevent them. A metal shop can be a very safe and enjoyable place to earn a living. However, if basic safety rules are not followed, a metal shop can be very dangerous. Every year, thousands of workers are killed or injured on the job. Unfortunately, most of these injuries or deaths were caused by someone breaking a safety rule. Remember, safety is your responsibility. Only you can use correct procedures to prevent accidents. A metal shop can be divided into several work areas. You must know the safety rules that apply to each. The tool room is the shop area normally adjacent to the main shop or classroom. It is used to store shop tools, small equipment, and supplies. Always return all tools and equipment to their original storage locations and wipe them clean if needed. The metal storage area should be well organized. Although it seems relatively safe, tons of metal can be held by the large racks. When installing or removing sheet metal from the racks, be careful not to get cut on sharp edges of the metal. Wear leather gloves and be alert not to allow the sharp metal to cut you or anyone else. Deep lacerations could result. Also, only move one sheet at a time. Do not try to move 2 or 3 sheets together to save time. When handling steel rods, look where both ends are moving. If you were to poke someone in the head or face, serious injury could result. The work areas of a metal shop are varied. As mentioned, many metal fabrication shops have a sheet metal working area, grinding and welding area, foundry or forge area, machining area, and assembly area. As you will learn, each area has its own safety concerns. If you are doing an operation that could affect another shop area, grinding for example, isolate your work area with a shop drape. The drape will keep sparks from flying into another area, possibly causing problems. Basically, you should try to prevent 5 kinds of accidents: fire, explosions, asphyxiation, electrical shock, and other physical injuries. Remember, if an accident occurs while working, notify your instructor or supervisor. Use common sense on deciding to get a fire extinguisher, call an ambulance, or take other action. Fire can cause horrible accidents that also result in disfiguring, scar tissue, or death. There are numerous combustible substances found in a metal fabrication shop. Gasoline is often found in a metal shop for powering portable generators or welders taken to outside jobs. Store gasoline and other flammables in an approved sealed container. Oily rags can also start fires. They should never be stored in a pile anywhere in the shop. Used rags must be stored in an approved storage can. The can must have a metal lid that will smother a fire if spontaneous combustion occurs. To prevent cuts, place rags filled with sharp metal chips in the rag can. Note the location of all fire extinguishers in your shop. A few seconds' time can be a lifetime during a fire. To use a fire extinguisher, remove it from the wall, pull out the safety pin, aim the extinguisher at the flames, then press its handle. Use a long burst of agent to smother the fire quickly. Remember the term PASS, which means pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. This technique will make you more efficient at smothering and putting out a fire. Report the fire and set the fire extinguisher aside so it can be recharged. To help prevent fires, never smoke when in the metal working area. Electric shock can occur when using improperly grounded electric power tools. Never use an electrical tool unless it has a functional ground prong. The third prong prevents shorted electrical current from accidentally passing through your body. Never use an electrical tool on a wet shop floor. Electric current would try to flow through your tool, your body, and then into earth ground. Keep electrical cords away from power equipment. If the cord is cut, it could electrocute you or someone else. Several types of explosions are possible in a metal working shop. Oxygen and acetylene tanks, propane bottles, paint cans, and other substances can all explode if mishandled, causing serious injuries. A leaking hose on welding tanks could cause a buildup of gas that could ignite with astounding force. Make sure you shut off the main valve on welding tanks after they are used. If overheated, cans of paint and other pressurized cans can often explode. Never try to light a foundry furnace or forge without proper training. The gas, if not turned on and lit properly, could cause a devastating explosion. Asphyxiation is caused by breathing toxic substances in the air. Read directions before using any new synthetic oils, solvents, epoxies, and adhesives. Vents should also be used on grinders and other equipment that produce a large quantity of dust. Respirators should be worn around other kinds of airborne impurities, like when grinding a job before welding. When soldering, avoid breathing the fumes. Melted lead fumes and acid core flux fumes can be hazardous if inhaled. Work in a ventilated area and wear a respirator. Wash your hands after soldering so you don't ingest any lead solder or residue. Wear safety glasses to protect from spattering solder and flux. Allow soldered joints to cool before touching them. Make sure you shut off the gas valves securely after soldering. Physical injuries can result from hundreds of different causes. As a metal worker, you must constantly evaluate every job technique to decide whether a particular operation is safe or dangerous and take action to improve the technique if needed. When lifting, make sure you always lift with your legs, not your back. Your legs are much stronger than a bent back. Metal cutoffs can be very sharp, almost like a saw blade, but with irregular razor edges on them. If you accidentally rub your hand over a jagged metal surface, it will not only cut your hand, but can embed metal fragments in your skin. When carrying a sheet of metal by yourself, watch out for others. A pointed corner can inflict a deep wound. Place scrap metal in a storage can. Never leave scrap laying all over the shop area. Wear eye or face protection during any task that could be dangerous. This would include using power tools, acetylene cutting, brazing, grinding, and doing similar tasks. Keep organized. Return all tools and equipment to their proper storage areas. Never lay tools or parts on the floor because someone could trip and fall. Remove all jewelry that could get caught in power equipment, tearing off flesh, fingers, chunks of hair, and ears. Also roll up long sleeves and secure long hair under a hat. Work like a professional. When learning metalworking, it's easy to get excited by your work. Avoid working too fast. You could overlook a safety procedure. Know the location of all kill switches that shut off power to equipment. Shop air pressure is usually around 100 to 150 pounds per square inch. This is enough pressure to injure or kill. Respect shop air pressure. Never use air pressure to blow metal shavings from your work, your clothing, or equipment. To prevent injuries, use a brush. To prevent someone from falling, always wipe up oil and other spills immediately. If needed, apply absorbent, then sweep up. A foundry heats metal into a liquid so that it can be poured into a mold to produce a metal part. Since molten metal is over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, the need for safety is obvious. A few general rules include the following. Dress to protect against serious burns. Wear a face shield and a leather apron. Also wear leather, flame-resistant shoes. Cover your feet with fireproof leggings. Never wear cloth athletic shoes. Look what happens when molten metal is spilled on non-protective shoes. The molten metal would rapidly burn through the shoes. Before adding metal to a hot crucible on the furnace, preheat the metal to dry up any moisture. Moisture or water could cause an explosion that would spray molten metal into the shop. This foundry explosion was caused by molten metal being spilled on water. Carry the crucible close to the floor and warn others of the danger. Never place a mold on concrete because a spill will make the concrete pop and spit molten metal. Allow the casting to cool adequately before breaking it out of the mold. Never open anyone else's mold. A forge is used to heat and soften metal so that it can be hammered into a new shape. Wear a face shield, apron, and leather gloves when working with a forge. To avoid burns, consider all metal around the forge to be hot. If you pick up a piece of metal from the forge, even with leather gloves, you will be burned. When carrying hot metal, warn others. When forging on an anvil, the anvil must be clean. Watch out for flying bits of hot metal caused by hammering. Quench your tongs and workpiece when done. Clean up the area and put away your tools when finished. Ask your instructor to turn off the forge's gas and air supply. Use the right tool for the job. There's usually a best tool for each task. Always think about whether a different tool would work better. Never carry sharp tools or sharp parts in your pockets. They can easily puncture the skin. Keep guards or shields in place. If a power tool has a safety guard, use it. Keep tools clean. Wipe your tools off after each use. A greasy or oily tool is not only unprofessional, it is dangerous. Never open several toolbox drawers at a time because a heavy toolbox could flip over. Serious injury could result because a toolbox can weigh up to a ton or more. Close each drawer before opening the next. Keep both ends of chisels and punches properly ground or shaped. A chisel cutting edge should be sharp and square. After long hammering, the top of the chisel or punch becomes mushroomed. This is dangerous. Grind off the rough metal to avoid injury to your hand. Never use a file without a handle securely attached. The pointed tang, if not covered by a handle, can embed into the hand or wrist. Never turn on an air hammer unless the tool is pressed tight against the workpiece. If not, the tool head can fly out of the hammer with great force. When welding, wear the recommended protective gear. Wear a helmet with the approved lens darkness. Never look at a welding arc. The arc is so bright it can cause permanent eye injury. If possible, take a welding course in school. Do not light a cutting torch with both valves open. Only open the acetylene valve. Never attempt to cut or weld containers until you find out what they've been holding. They could explode or emit poisonous fumes. When cutting, be aware of the molten metal shooting out and keep flammables away. When using a grinder or wire wheel, keep the tool rests adjusted close to the stone and brush. If not up close, a part can catch and be pulled into the wheel. Make sure the grinder shields are in place. Stand to one side when turning the grinder on in case the wheel shatters. When using a drill press, secure the part to be drilled. Use C-clamps or a machinist's vise to hold the part on the table. Center punch the part to help start the hole. Make sure you remove the key from the chuck. To prevent possible injury, release drilling pressure right before the bit breaks through the bottom of the part. A drill bit tends to catch when breaking through. This can cause the drill or part to rotate dangerously. When using a power hacksaw, remember that if it can slice through metal like butter, it can cut through flesh and bones like melted butter. Keep the blade properly tensioned and replace saw blades after prolonged use. They can fatigue and break. Never test blade sharpness by running your finger over the blade. Simply inspect the blade teeth visually. When using power forming rolls, keep your hands clear of the pinch points. Do not wear gloves or clothing that could get caught and pulled into the rolls. Workers have lost fingers, hands, and even arms by getting caught in power pinch points. When in a highly automated work area, watch out for moving machines and equipment. They pose additional hazards to work safety. Stand clear of automated cutters, robots, and other mechanized equipment. They are programmed to do their job, and many machines cannot tell if someone gets in their way. However, most robots today have a safety envelope, which is a sensitized area around the robot that tells it to shut down if a person walks into that space. Do not talk to others while operating machines. It is easy to get distracted and make a mistake. Use a chain hoist to lift and move extremely heavy loads. Keep your feet and hands out from under the heavy loads. Obtain instructor permission and a demonstration before using any new or unfamiliar equipment or power tool. When at a remote job site, be aware of moving equipment and heavy loads on overhead cranes. Wear a hard hat and always be alert for the potential of danger when on the job. Here is actual footage of 2 collapsing cranes. If you were under these cranes, you hopefully would be alert and ready to move away from the falling steel. Remember, when doing metalworking, you must constantly think safety. Safety is your life support system.